MotoGP Unlimited is finally here, and we're going to talk about the series, the disaster release day, and things that we can expect for future series of this program. What did you think of it? Well, personally for me, the show was great. It was humble, unlike F1's Drive to Survive, which is highly dramatized. You know, it pitches teammates against each other when they're not really rivals. Team managers are the stars of the show. But in MotoGP's Unlimited series, the stars of the show are the riders. And that is the best thing for me about it. It shows these riders in a, relatable fashion. They're normal, genuine people who have mutual respect for each other when racing. That is the key takeaway from me, and I think that shone through. There's not really a bad rider in the MotoGP paddock from this series we've gathered. Each rider has their own personality. Just for example, the things that I liked, it showed respect between Fabio Quartararo, Paco Bagnaia. Paco Bagnaia crashes out of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It shows him waiting in the pit lane for Fabio Quartararo, who's just been crowned world champion due to his mistake that he made in the race. Shows them to embracing each other. I love that. It shows the human side of Marc Marquez, who we know he came back from injury in 2021, and the struggles that he had with the Repsol Honda and his physical fitness. It shows Marc winning in the Sachsenring, and it plays a brilliant montage of Marc and his career, coming up as a kid. It shows brilliant footage of him and his dad, him winning in MotoGP. It's a montage that had me sitting with tears in my eyes. It was just brilliant. We see Marc get emotional. Many people think that Marc is not very emotional at all. He's a kind of a robot. He just does things, operates on a different level. But this series really shows Marc in that emotional side. He is a person that is vulnerable. He does doubt himself. It's just brilliant. And I think that really captured, the rawness of what MotoGP means to these riders, and just riding a bike and winning again. It's just beautiful. And then we had Maverick Vinales, who was the person who intrigued me the most in this series, even before the trailers had been announced. We knew we were getting this series, and I knew throughout the year, I was thinking, I wonder if they've got this in each episode. They did capture a lot of Vinales, the birth, pretty much the early days of the birth of his daughter, Nina. And then we see, of course, the highly publicized split with Yamaha. And things do get really, really spicy in there. And it is very... it's enjoyable to watch, but it's also like, wow, I can't believe they actually got things like that on video. If you haven't seen it, there's just a scene with Lin Jarvis and Vinales after the whole Austria debacle with Vinales revving the engine, and he came in from the pit lane. He was fuming, and Lin Jarvis stormed off. The camera get pushed down, and Vinales storms off. And then in the next episode, Vinales is like, I'm retired, I've left Yamaha, I'm not going back. And then we see the Aprilia sign in. And that was the thing that shocked me. The starting episode with Vinales basically admitting that he is retired. He doesn't need MotoGP, and this negative attitude and headspace that he was in. Wow, it was really eye-opening. But then he signs for Aprilia. They welcome him in as like a big family. And it's really good to see. Vinales went through a tough time in 2021. The loss of his cousin Dean, Berta Vinales, in the World Supersport 300 series. He talks about that, and it's really, I think it's changed a lot of people's opinions on Vinales. When you watch this, people think he's hot-headed, and yes, he did make some mistakes in 2021, with his attitude, but he's really just a family person, and he loves his family, and I think that really shines through. And yeah, I love the whole aspect of family. We see it with the Espargaros, Lisa Espargaro and his kids and his wife, his relationship with Pole, and it does get very heated with Pole after an incident in qualifying at Silverstone where Pole had held him up, and yeah, you get that brother sort of at least losing the plot pretty much with his brother, and I can relate to that. I have a brother myself. I know what it's like. You know, you can kind of just go at your brother, but in the end you both love each other, and you know that you can kind of get away with it in the end of the day. And I like that. It was just about the personal side of each rider, and it was really, really good for me to see the whole just relationships everyone has with each other. Jack Miller's series was great. You know, that whole, I think episode 1 to episode 3, Miller was pretty much featured in that, and him getting the wins, the emotional side of the stress that he puts on himself, brilliant. It just covered everything to detail. It didn't go into too much detail, but it just gave you the perfect snippet, and I think that is what the key takeaway is for new fans. This is perfect. For me, I've watched MotoGP pretty much my whole life. I still was engaged by it and learned things that, you know, just gave me a little bit more insight of what I thought about something that I'd seen earlier in the season, and it just rounded it off. So if you're new to the sport, perfect for you. If you're watched the sport all your life, it's still good. So that is pretty much the series. I don't want to spoil it for too much if you haven't seen it yet. Get on Amazon and watch it. Now, let's talk about the release day disaster. It was very bad in my opinion for Amazon. So in the UK and US we had a dubbing issue where we couldn't actually watch the series. It had to be with the dubbing turned on, so whenever the writers were speaking in their native languages, like Spanish, French, Italian, it had English dub over it, and I just couldn't watch it as it made it unwatchable for me anyway, and many others. I know it just didn't really fit, because I know how the writers talk, because we see them in interviews, and it lost that personality side for me with the dubbing on it. And I'm glad that they fixed the issue so you can take it off and just watch the subtitles. Yeah, but that isn't the big issue for me. The big issue is Asia and Australia do not have this series available at the moment as I've done this video. It was labelled as worldwide release, but many people didn't get the chance to see this series because it's not available in their own countries. I do believe this is an Amazon issue, not a MotoGP/Dorna issue, as I think it is due to the rights for each country's Amazon. So, say Amazon Indonesia, they have to buy the rights and licenses to show the series in that country. So they haven't done that yet. Whether it's due to cost, I imagine it is down to that, because I imagine each country has different license costs. That's really it, and it's a real shame for countries like that. You know, huge markets in Indonesia who are getting their first Grand Prix in 25 years this weekend coming, and they're not able to watch the new series that's been hyped up for fans, and it's a real shame. You know, Australia, like I've mentioned, Jack Miller is a big star in this show. They've had multiple world champions in MotoGP with Casey Stoner, Wayne Gardner, Mick Doohan, Remy Gardner, who's Moto2 world champion. They're not going to get to see one of their own in a series. And I just find it strange that, you know, the Amazon in each of these countries isn't going to put that out there, as MotoGP is trying to grow as a sport. And it's a real shame not to get these series everywhere. Yeah, hopefully it can be rectified soon, because I really love people from these countries to get to see this series, because it's well worth watching. And yeah, where do we go from here? I just hope this series can keep growing. We've known the success of Drive Survive for F1. It has just went through the roof. Although I will say MotoGP Unlimited is much more authentic. It's not dramatized. There's no bullshit. It is just the essence of MotoGP that is captured. And I really like that. The riders come across as humble, relatable on a certain level. They're respectable. It's funny in some aspects. There's some genuine humor in it. It's just a great starter for people that want to watch MotoGP. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of MotoGP Unlimited. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to Crouch MotoGP for more content.